Hey everyone, welcome to the Sand City Crit. This is a super fun course out in Sand City, California. It's down near Monterey. It's super close to the beach. I was warming up with ocean views. Course is 10 corners and like 7/10ths of a mile. Plus, it has this short little hill that we'll see on the next block, which just made for such fun racing. The event was also super well put on, had the safe barriers without feet sticking out at the start finish, had cloth numbers, had an announcer going all day, very professional vibes. I think they had plans for this race to be a lot bigger this year, but hopefully this is a step towards growing it. And these guys definitely have big plans for the years to come. It would be super awesome to see this race attract a bigger crowd and maybe even some more serious national level teams. The race was set up so that it was kind of like a motocross race. You had a qualifier heat in the morning, and then the top half of each of the two qualifier heats advanced to the final here. And so those were 30 minutes apiece in the morning for the qualifiers, and then top half of the field went to this race, which was the big final. It was an hour-long crit, and then the bottom half of each field went to the small final. And so here we are in the big final. We're going to be coming under 4 laps to go here. Start finish line right there. This is the longest straight of the course right here that had a pretty strong tailwind coming off the ocean. And now we're going to get into the technical section. First corner, you could go super fast and get spots back too if you found some open space in front of you. Yeah, I'm going to keep going up the inside here into the hill. This is another good corner to get spots back. A little bit of an effort to get up the hill every lap. That's okay, especially with, inside of 4 laps to go now. Looking for spots every place you can get because positioning is super important in this sprint. It was hard to get any positions in the last 2 laps, so you really had to be up at the front. Throughout the course of the race, there had been some flyers, but they were largely unsuccessful. The biggest team was Mike's Bikes in the purple, and they were just kind of marking moves. They didn't really seem to commit to anything. It seemed like they wanted it to come down to a field sprint for Ryan, which, we're all together here coming into 3 to go. They've done a good job of that. And they're now getting organized on the front to help out their sprinter. Other teams include Altavelo in the orange and blue that you see right there. That's the team I'm racing on. This is Jack right in front of me. We had 3 of us total in the race, but it was kind of hard to do much for each other at this point in the race since we're a little bit too far back. Other big team is Project 74 in the white, and then Tehran Elite in the pink had a couple guys in the top 10 as well. So at the end of any crit, positioning is super important, and there's going to be a fight for position, but when there's 10 laps and 7/10ths of a mile, having a good position going into the last 2 laps is even more important. And so you see that washing machine effect being pretty pronounced. So like anytime there's a spot like right here where you can go more than just, one wide through these corners, people are trying to get up both sides, and you'll see people going up the inside, up the outside. Everyone is just trying to get even a spot or two to help themselves in the final sprint. And yeah, people moving both sides, just looking for any open air. Because everybody back where I am at this point, we're all like, oh man, I really wish I was 5 spots further up. That would really be a lot better spot. And, so we're all trying to move up. And the people who have those spots don't want to give them up. And so it, makes it really hard to hold those top wheels. Also, at this point in the race, everybody wants to be on the back of Mike's Bike's train, so that's a pretty hotly contested wheel. Even though some of the other teams that I mentioned before are starting to organize, like you can see Project 74 in the white, there's like 3 of them up here. Even if you're with your teammates on a course like this, it can be really hard to have like an organized lead out because the only place where you can get a train of 3 guys over the top of another train is probably on that start-finish straight. And that last chicane coming into the start-finish straight is pretty technical. So like you're going to be coming from all the way behind them. You're not going to be like side by side and then just pulling ahead on the straight. Like you're going to have to jump your whole train ahead of them. And like once you start coming past them, like they're going to see you and they're going to speed up, which is going to make it even harder. So it's pretty challenging on a course like this to have like a sort of traditional lead out in the last couple laps. That being said, getting those positions is super important. Like you see this Valet guy going here. In retrospect, I should have followed him there. That would have, put me up into a pretty good spot coming into the last lap. But instead, I was a little bit complacent, and there's a couple more guys in front of me. Every time, you thought you were taking a good line through a corner, you'd like, leave the door open just slightly on the next one. You'll see somebody else come past. But I think this is coming into the last lap now, and basically going to be looking for every place I can to get positions back, because this straightaway isn't very long. You're going to maybe get one spot out of that. And so coming through the first two corners there, everybody's sprinting for the positions into the hill because that's pretty important. Oh yeah, I remember this last time up the hill when we got out of the saddle here. It felt easy for like half a second right here. You see the power is only like 500 watts and it was like we should have been sprinting all out. Usually when that's happening, it means there's a gap opening. Look at that. And this guy looked keen to close it, so I was like, okay. In retrospect, maybe should have sprinted into that and gotten back onto these wheels of the group in front of me, and then like out of the last corner I could have maybe picked off one or two of them, but it didn't really matter. We were sprinting for like 10th place basically. Ended up in 12th place, which gotten pretty good at that this season, being just outside the top 10. So hopefully, I'm hoping I can put it together, the fitness and the positioning and everything for some late season races here and get, some single digit results. Heading off to Intelligentsia Cup this week to do some Cat 2 races, so hopefully can get some confidence from those. But anyways, thanks for watching if you're stuck around this long, and be sure to like and subscribe so you can stick around for the next one. Thanks everyone.